Gaming was so much better back in the days. Remember when every game ever that came out was a fully complete game and with no issues and no bugs whatsoever? The amount of cope that gamers have been having with gaming is insane. So, obviously, a lot, if you're in the gaming community, people talk about how that people talk about how much better gaming was in the past because we have these things in the present that we don't like so much. And while criticisms about how certain things are done, especially like how monetary stuff is done, like microtransactions and $20 skins and yada yada yada, like these are valid complaints. But thinking that the industry hasn't been nickel and diming us the entire time is kind of insane. And also, games back in the day wasn't perfect. Like, they weren't perfect. And it's also arguable that games came out finished. So let's talk about the money stuff first. For the longest time, we didn't have online, right? So we couldn't do any sort of monetary stuff through the internet like that. But we always have had attachments and different versions of the same game on the same console. We've had ports. We've had, different accessories. We've had going to GameStop for a specific, like, Pokemon when Gen 1 came out. We have had things that nickeled and dimed us throughout our gaming experiences. Editing Skylar here. One thing I forgot to mention was arcades. If we're going to talk about money, back in the day, arcades before home consoles, where you would put quarters in for credits so you could actually play the game. And these games were designed in such a way to be hard in very specific ways, so that you would have to spend more money if you want to continue. It's like, hey, I know you're going through this beam up and you died, but if you want to keep on playing, if you want to finish the game, you have to toss in more quarters. Like, they were big money makers back in the day, and that was literally nickeling and diming you. You were just tossing quarters in these machines all day. So, yeah, since the dawn of gaming, we have had them trying to make money off of you as much as they can. With Pokemon, if you want 100% your Pokédex, you need to buy both versions of the game or have a friend that has the other version of the game, and just drumming up sales for Pokemon, or playing NES games on the Game Boy Advance in order to using these key cards in order to be able to play the NES games on Game Boy Advance, which was cool at the time, sure. Or re-releasing these games over and over and over again with remakes, which is another thing that people point out is all the remakes that we have. I'll get to that later. You had this, Sega Genesis. If you want to play specific games, you need to have the 32-bit attachment onto it. And then, if you want to play Sonic CD, now you have to put in the CD attachment here as well. Or, hey, PlayStation 1, you want to play with 4 players instead of just 2? Buy this attachment. Oh, by the way, we can't have you save your games on the console because we don't have batteries and there's no cartridges. So let's keep selling you memory cards over and over again. While it wasn't as easy as it is now to just throw something out there and expect people to buy it, like it is now with DLCs and microtransactions, it's always kind of been a thing. Like, bigger DLCs are just what we used to call expansions, like World of Warcraft. People nowadays would complain if World of Warcraft was a new thing and we got an expansion. It's like, oh man, well, they're just selling us we have to get the expansion in order to complete the game. It's like, no, it's just extra. It's just more. DLC is not content that's been taken out and then reselling to you. There might be concepts that they thought of that they couldn't get in the game, but they were never fully implemented in any way, shape, or form outside of the few situations where they were, but those are complete outliers and definitely not the norm. And then how about like Street Fighter? You have Street Fighter, you have Street Fighter Super, you have Street Fighter Turbo, you have Turbo Super Ultimate Edition. Like, it's a meme, and that's been happening since the 90s. Oh, by the way, we have a new version of the PlayStation called the PlayStation 1. It's the extra version. Oh, by the way, we got these new controllers. We have analog sticks with these controllers now. Look at that. Oh, PS2, hey, do you want to be able to go online? Buy this attachment in order to be able to connect yourself to the internet. Oh, and we got these new games that you can only play with the iToy. Let's throw that out. Oh, you want to play Skyward Sword on your Wii? You have to pay a little bit more in order to get the Wii Motion Plus. So, by the way, there goes renting the game because you have to at least have the attachment. Like, even though the bundle existed, you couldn't rent the game unless if you had the attachment, and renting was still a thing. Like, Blockbuster wasn't around, but there was still Family Video, and there was some other places, local places. And then so that's just like additives. Now, talking about incomplete games, you have Kingdom Hearts, where people are like, oh yeah, this is a complete game. And then we had the Japanese exclusive final mix versions. Then we finally got into the US when the HD remakes came out on the PlayStation 3. But that's like, oh, we had more ideas for the game. We fixed some bugs and we tweaked some things. So instead of what we get nowadays, where people are like, well, these games get all these updates, it's like, games got updates back in the day. Hell, when you got a version 1.0 of Zelda, the gold cartridge, that's different than every other cartridge after that, where like the music in the Fire Temple was replaced, and the Spirit Temple and the Gerudo symbol was replaced, and Ganondorf's blood is red in the 1.0 version, which is it's green in literally every other version. That one for some reason stood out to me because I played the original version first, and then like the gold cart edition first, and then when I played on the GameCube and his blood was green, I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know why that stood out to me as a kid. But so even when they release the game again, they're updating the game. Like, we get updates nowadays. So like you get the one copy of the game, and your copy is getting updated instead of the next revision getting updated. Which, yeah, sure. Now it's cool that I have a cartridge that has a version of the game that isn't sold anymore in any capacity. Like, yeah, obviously you can emulate it, but officially sold, I have a version that doesn't exist. That's a cool piece of retro technology that I have. Sure. But companies update their games. This is a constantly thing happening. And also, bugs very much existed back in the day. I could beat Mario 64 in a half hour with 16 stars using a series of glitches. Like, yeah, it took a while for people to find like a lot of these techniques, but they exist. Like, these games can very much be broken. And this is just talking about AAA big stuff. People being able to break GoldenEye and Metal Gear and Halo. Hell, you could beat the original Super Mario Brothers in 5 minutes. But games get updated. And also, let's talk about remasters. People are talking about how there's so many remasters nowadays, and games keep on bringing back old games. Like, do they not have any new ideas? Super Mario All-Stars, Super Nintendo, 1990 something, early 90s. You have Metal Gear Twin Snakes on the GameCube. You have the Resident Evil remake on the GameCube. You have arcade ports from the arcade to the console since the 70s. You have collection editions of like Mortal Kombat and Legend of Zelda collection. And you had, the Jak and Daxter collection, HD collection on the PS3. Like, that's technically retro now. And then how about all the games that came out trash? You got the Bubsy 3Ds. You got Quest 64. Sonic 06, sadly. You had that shitty Sub-Zero Mortal Kombat platformer thing. You had 95% of the Atari lineup. You have all these shovelware. You have, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and really just all the LJN stuff that Angry Video Game Nerd reviews. Angry Video Game Nerd. He's made a career of reviewing shitty games from the past. Like, the past wasn't full of these amazing golden years that had nothing wrong with them. Like, there's just as much issues then that there is now. We have rose-tinted glasses about it, and I'm sick of seeing posts of, like, remember, gaming sucks now, or remember when gaming didn't have this or this? It's like, okay, yeah, gaming didn't have microtransactions, but they did have you needing to buy accessories to experience certain things. Remember when vibrations in your controller was an accessory? Nintendo invented vibration in your controller, but you had to buy that separately. Yeah, it came with Star Fox, but that means you had to buy Star Fox in order to get it, just so you could have vibration in your controller. But yeah, it started becoming in controllers the very next generation, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen in 1997. And now you could buy a game once and have it updated. Yeah, like, you could think of all the shitty games that come out now, and all the unfinished games that do come out. But also, there are some games that do eventually get finished, and you could still keep your copy while it's getting finished instead of it having a revised version later on. Like, anybody who bought Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out now has actually a really good game, even though it was a broken, buggy mess at the start. Like, again, yeah, there are bad practices there, and there's, companies always trying to get as much money as they can, but that always exists. And then while there's a lot of crap games coming out, there's also a lot of fantastic games coming out. You have your, new God of Wars. You have your Expedition 33s and your Ghost of Tsushima and Yote. And you got your Breath of the Wilds. And you got Insomniac Spider-Man. And, like, you got all these games, like, great games coming out. Even, like, the indie scene. The indie scene didn't fucking exist back in the day. But now you could get all these great games for decently cheap. You could get your, get Hades and get Balatro and Expedition 33 again, because that's actually indie. Like, yes, you have games like Call of Duty and Fortnite that's just a shell of what they used to be. And even though, yes, you have a lot of stuff in the games, it's just, again, nickel and diming you the whole way. But that doesn't negate the good stuff that we have, and we get a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff to be hyped over. So no, gaming wasn't better. It was just different, and you didn't worry about the politics of gaming because you were a child. You were nostalgic for those times. You only remember the good stuff, because when you are nostalgic for stuff and when you try to remember, like, the good old days, you remember the positive stuff. Like, you remember negative stuff about other people, but you remember the positive stuff about your own life, because that's the stuff that made you happy. That's the stuff that gave you dopamine. That's the stuff that, again, gives you that nostalgia. The happiness gives you the nostalgia and all the connections you have. And again, you're thinking of the good times. But that doesn't mean you didn't accidentally fucking buy Zoids for the GameCube. Like, you wouldn't remember that unless you kept it and you're, like, looking through your shelves like, oh, fuck, that game existed. It sucked. But now you're stuck with it. But you don't remember that. The only times that gets remembered is when it becomes a political outcry of a game like Bubsy 3D. Gaming is just different, and your nostalgia is blinding you, thinking that what you went through as a kid was better. You're gonna have Gen Alpha now say the same thing about how gaming's gonna be in about 20 years from now. That's just the generational cycle when you don't pay attention and when you don't really soak in the actual facts. So just be humble and check your nostalgia, because gaming in the back in the day had its negatives and its positives, just like we now today have our negatives and our positives. There's always been bad actors in the gaming scene, then and now. Gaming's great. Gaming's just great. It's just always been great, outside of the crash. But it's been great. It's always great. I fucking love gaming. But I have a whole channel about it. That's why I do this.